And then people get into this huge trap of making tenure-based roles rather than need-based roles. And then you get into a world of hurt. First of all, you're taking them away from what they've been good at. And second, you're paying for something that you maybe didn't really need in the first place.
That's a fire point there, TRW. It's Wednesday. You know what that means, boys?
Podcast.
Podcast.
It's time for the Pork Cast, where we talk about our latest barbecue hacks,
where you'll be squealing,
tips and tricks. By the end, you'll be squealing. How y'all feeling? I'm feeling good. How about you?
I'm alive and well, man. I haven't been in studio for what? A month?
We haven't all three sat down for a podcast in a long time.
I missed this, guys. I missed y'all. I dominated in Frisbee. Sorry, should I say we dominated in Frisbee today?
Any quick highlights? Like 15 seconds, go.
No, it was just a lot of fun. A lot of fun, a lot of smiles, a lot of high fives, and a lot of fun. So I'm happy to be here, happy to be in studio.
Mike Bibby looking at.
Yeah. If you're listening, sorry. If you're watching, you're welcome. Enough said. Riley, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I am so thankful for all this coffee on the table. I'm not going to lie. It's a simple pleasure in life that we kind of take for granted because we work in this industry, you know?
Absolutely.
Coffee and all of its beauty. So we've got two awesome coffees, and I'm just what's the word? Indulging.
Indulging.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a quick story arc vis-a-vis Weber EG1?
Yeah. Viewers might be able to see in the background. Listeners, we got an EG1. Okay. We did it.
In studio right now.
Yeah. So shout out to Andrew and Doug and the team at Weber. You got us.
We did a podcast.
We did. Yeah. We did a podcast with Doug a while back. And honestly, that really stoked the fire.
Wow.
Being like, okay, this dude and this grinder kind of built different. So
well said.
So we demoed the EG1 at Expo, and we were like, okay, it's actually really good.
It's different.
Yeah. So totally. We bought one, and we might buy two more.
What's your favorite thing about the Weber EG1?
Oh, don't even get me started. Dude, it's just simple things that aren't that hard to do on other. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's probably really, really hard to do and get everything machined so accurately. But like even just cleaning the burrs, it's like two pieces magnetically snap off and the burrs are right there. And then it's like, okay, I can clean these burrs.
Yeah.
And that is something you don't get with some other current manufacturers of grinders.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, at a similar price point even.
Yeah, really. So there's that. And then, I mean, this coffee is insane.
Con gas.
The results speak for themselves.
We pulled a shot of Sebastian Ramirez Pink Bourbon roasted by yours truly, Valor Coffee, not me, Luke Vineyard.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you, Luke.
Thanks for the opportunity.
We know you're listening.
Haircut, as we call him around here.
Yeah, he's haircut.
And that was beautiful.
Well said.
Yeah.
It's pretty aged too. It was roasted about a month ago, right?
Yeah. Right where we want it.
Yeah, kind of perfect for the loring. Speaking of con gas. And I don't have as much info. We met them at Expo, but some people from Mundos Coffee sent us some epic bags of Java. Thank you. And we're brewing up the geisha. I think it was a Colombian geisha. Ooh, I hope I was right.
It was.
Oh, great. And we did that with the XF, a little third wave water. Oh, a little EG1. We're spoiled.
Spoiled rotten.
Washed geisha.
Washed geisha. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
What are you guys working on this week?
Ross, why are you really moving us along?
Jeez,
dude?
Okay. Personally, I am nearing my paternity leave.
Right.
And things, I am trying to think ahead as much as I can, but then a lot of other things like, oh yeah, I should also do this. Oh yeah, I should also do this. I should also do that. So prepping, man. We got trying to think ahead, trying to get some scheduling for the cafe out pretty far ahead, trying to get summer menu rollout done nice and early. And then just trying to think about all my little tasks and what can go without and what needs to be delegated and communicated.
That'll play really nicely into today's topic. But before we get to that, what about you, Riley?
Thank you for asking. I am stepping into a little role that I used to do of a bookkeeper. Because our bookkeeper is on maternity leave. Congratulations.
Congratulations,
bookkeeper.
We know you're listening.
And so it's going to be fun, you know?
Yeah.
Because funny enough, I have installed some new systems for the bookkeeping and especially the monthly reporting process. And I was about to schedule a meeting with her for like the top of next week to like show her how to do this.
The baby came early, guys. Okay, relax. He's not a monster.
Yeah.
All right.
But that means that I get to do the process for a couple of months and see all the holes in it.
You see,
and then
he gets to hand
over a refined product. So
right,
certain leader.
I'm looking at that as like I'm going to try to knock out all bookkeeping on just one Saturday each month for the next 3 months. So probably like this Saturday and then like mid-June a Saturday, mid-July Saturday.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you want to know what I'm working on this week.
What are you working on this week,
A couple
Ross?
things. Well, I'm currently trying to sell my house and buy a house. So honestly, that's like
90% of what you're doing right now.
Like 90% of the workday.
It takes up time. That is for sure.
Tell me you're clocking out.
Yeah, of course I'm clocking out to send. Yeah.
Good.
And then my other projects right now are this course, how to start a coffee shop. How to start a coffee shop course from Valor Coffee.
What's that?
What's that?
Well, you don't want to spoil it too much, but we have 4 courses on the VCC Valor Coffee community, our online community. We have 4 courses currently, but we're working on making the first of hopefully many more premium courses that are much more in detail, much longer, and honestly higher stakes. Like it's different to train a barista how to make coffee as opposed to like giving someone business advice that could alter the course of their entire life.
Of course.
So I'm excited for that. That's mainly what I'm working on. I'll keep the other one to myself. We'll talk about it off camera.
Yeah. Wait, what? You're like, dude.
I think that course, and I'm not just speaking as trying to sell the course, okay? I think that there is nothing like it. And I think it's going to be incredible for a lot of people. Especially people, we have a lot of people out there who are starting a coffee cart or have a coffee cart with ambitions of starting a cafe.
Right.
Like us back in the day.
We've been there.
And we didn't have what you're talking about. And so we just had to, and that's kind of the whole summary of this podcast is just like, don't do what we did in a lot of things.
Yep.
And not to harp on this, but when people are starting a coffee shop and they're asking, me, myself, and I for advice, I'm always like, I can't just like drop a line and be like, here, do this. I'm like, honestly, dude, I guess you're just going to have to figure it out. Like, honestly, there's too much to talk about in a 3-second conversation. I'm like, you're just going to have to like ask a lot of questions and look dumb a lot of times until, and hope that your local government is really nice to you. Like that. Best of luck, buddy.
Yeah.
So if there's any sort of equipping or counsel we can offer in this course.
Of course. Yeah. Myself and our SEO agency we work with, localizedgrowth.com/Valor. Actually put a good bit of time into answering that question of, is there anything else like this out there? And I would say no, not to this level. I think it's going to be 8 modules. We're building out the outline right now.
Would you say hours of content?
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. Lots of like downloadable PDFs and checklists and videos and all kinds of resources. So we're just trying to like vomit everything we've ever learned about opening a coffee shop, as well as, we've helped a bunch of people open coffee shops in wholesale. And so compiling all that information together, I'm really excited for it.
Stoked.
Even. Yeah.
Wow. Hey, thanks for all that work, dude.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. You don't see the other side of it for a while.
I know it's a long project,
Right?
but it's valuable. So excited for that.
What are we talking about, Ross?
Well, today's topic was spurred on by some real life conversation that I had with one of our wholesale partners. And, if you're a wholesale partner of Valor, I'm sorry that we talk about what
your crap
your crap.
and our crap.
We all got crap, okay?
We bear our crap.
It's not your crap. It's just that when we make content for this podcast, we don't like to it's always worse content when we just drum up a topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, it might be a good idea to talk about this thing. It's always way better when we have already been thinking about the thing, and it's just more organic that way.
Mm.
Can I drop a line on that real
Go
quick? We don't have like an official place on the VCC for it yet, but whatever you guys are walking through, I feel like dropping it in maybe the Cafe Leaders Forum, it's always a great inspiration for what we can kind of dig into more than just like a little paragraph answer on the VCC. So if you guys have problems or things that you just can't exactly work through or dynamics that are tough that would be fun to unpack, drop it in the VCC.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to work that out on the pod.
It'd be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. So this conversation I was having with one of our wholesale partners, she is about to go on maternity leave, and she's the sole owner of this cafe. And she's trying to get all of her systems dialed in because right now she is the manager, like she's the GM of the cafe as well as the owner, as well as working on bar. And so she's holding kind of like almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about how to get to a point where you can leave and everything continues to progress and move forward. And we were talking about how this maternity leave is actually, it can be a really great opportunity instead of like a stress point, net negative, because of what we're about to talk about in this podcast. And one of the things that I think the title of this podcast is going to be, don't hire a manager for your coffee shop. And
Shots fired.
A quick way to frame that is, well, it really depends on what kind of owner you are. Mm-hmm. And we've done a podcast about that in the past of like, when you're starting a podcast, when you're starting a coffee shop
Or a podcast.
or a podcast for that matter about coffee shops, especially, what kind of owner do you want to be?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, no matter how good your coffee is, no matter how good your team is, no matter how good your location is, you are the one that is moving the ball forward. What's so funny?
Keep going.
No matter how cool the custom cups are, no matter how cool the menu is.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was epic.
No matter
we're humans,
how
okay?
cool the
Humans.
interior design is, even.
Cheers.
There's several aspects of that. All of that doesn't matter if the owner isn't in a good place, because leadership affects or infects every aspect of the operation, because the leader is like when we talk about leadership, usually the org chart looks like this. It's a triangle with the leader at the top, and then you get the manager, and then the baristas at the bottom. But we like to do an upside down servant leadership org chart where the leader is at the bottom of the triangle and the leader is supporting everyone else and making everyone else feel like a rock star.
The bedrock.
And so if you're not in a good place as a leader and your role in the company, then that will affect everything. And so the reason we say don't hire a manager for your coffee shop is because a lot of people start coffee shops because they are passionate about coffee and people and working in the coffee shop and leading people and having employees. And we're speaking from experience there. That is exactly why we wanted to start a coffee shop, because when we were 18 years old, 19 years old, fell in love with the cafe vibe.
Hey,
like
still in love.
in love.
10 years later, still in love.
It's looked different over the years, but we're still in love. We fell in love with that dynamic of serving guests, having teammates behind the bar, the whole culture of a coffee shop. And we worked in different coffee shops before we started Valor, and we were like, man, we can do this better. But we're 19. And I think that is how like any good business starts, is you have, and this is talked about in the E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
Whoa.
Remember how it talks about the different roles or the different phases you go through when you're starting a business, the technician. Remember that?
Yep.
So like the technician just means that when you start a business, you're the technician, which means that you are doing the task. You are performing the operation. And in this case, that's working behind bar. That's leading your team. That's setting the tone. That's connecting with guests, building community. And so this podcast is specifically for that type of person that is starting a coffee shop or running a coffee shop, where you enjoy leading people, you enjoy building community in your cafe, you enjoy being present behind the bar, but it feels like you're always pulled away by admin tasks and by payroll and by spreadsheets or lack of spreadsheets. And what to do about that? Because the problem is, in coffee, it's a lower profit business model, as we've talked about on this podcast before. We did a whole podcast, if you haven't seen it, of us just asking the question, are coffee shops profitable? And we took this spreadsheet called the Cafe Viability Spreadsheet, which is available for free on the Valor Coffee community. And we plugged in all these numbers and different scenarios and different ways to configure the payroll and the cost of goods and the weekly sales, and just asked the question, are coffee shops profitable? And the answer was like, yeah, they are profitable, but it's kind of like 10% profit.
And if you have a loan payment or certain distributions, whether that's to investors or yourself as an owner, that 10% can get eaten up real quick.
That's right. And if you're an owner trying to make a career or support a family or support yourself from this business that you started, it doesn't always make sense just to hire a GM and pay them, I don't know, $45,000, $50,000 a year. That's just money that you could be making. But how? How does all that stuff get done? And I think that there's just this myth that as an entrepreneur, and when you're starting a coffee shop, you have to have a manager because you're the owner. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that people typically think that way? And maybe we can kind of go back a little bit and share the highlights of our story, our progression of things, because we have 2 coffee shops. We've done manager. It's looked different. We've done assistant manager. We've done point person or like manager on duty.
Shift lead
We've kind of done it all, and now we're in an interesting place. So y'all take that. Where have we been?
Where are we going?
Who are we?
Well, I'll say the answer to your first question, which is why do people feel the need to give the manager role? And I think it's because it's progression. It's like when you first get going, you're there all the time. You're the guy or gal, and you're working constantly. And then you're like, okay, I need some work-life balance. I need someone else to be able to run this place when I go on vacation. When I go to Panama City Beach, Florida, like Ross this past weekend.
That's right.
And
Wish I had your life.
It was Rosemary Beach, dude.
Dude, when I looked at your location, at one point you were in PCB. Okay.
Okay. There was a hotel in PCB.
All right.
Fine.
So, so you're like, someone's got to be responsible for this when I'm gone.
Someone's got to carry the boats.
And even when I'm around, I need weekends or I need Monday, Tuesday off. And so naturally it's like there has to be a point person. I'm going to find a manager. That's why I think a lot of it is.
And maybe
super fair.
A supplemental reason, speaking from experience, you have a team of people. They work hard. Maybe some work really hard. And you're like, how can I reward this person for their hard work? Promotion, manager.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you help me run things because you're so epic?
Yeah.
And we've talked about that a good bit in the past. Like, don't promote someone to manager where they will just be click-clacking on their keyboard just because they are a good barista.
When they should be yip-yapping with your guests.
Yip-yapping with their guests.
Yeah, and to build on that point, so it's like, it's good intentioned. It's like, I want this person to be here longer. I want to give them more opportunity. I want to give them more of a career type role and pay. So it is good intentioned, and I see that. What we've discussed is that if you are going to be an owner operator of one cafe, there's only so much money to go around. So right. First of all, you probably need to be that person. The second thing I'll caution, and I hope I'm not getting ahead here, but
please don't.
But you look at your employees who have been around for years, maybe, and you think to yourself, man, I really wish I could create something, more opportunity for them because of their tenure. And then people get into this huge trap of making tenure-based roles rather than need-based roles. And then you get into a world of hurt because first of all, you're taking them away from what they've been good at, like we were saying. And second, you're paying for something that you maybe didn't really need in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fire point there, TRW. What's been our experience with this? Because we've tried a bunch of different things. I remember in the beginning, one of the main reasons we started this business was we wanted to give young people careers in the coffee industry. But we kind of forgot to give ourselves a career in that process. Not in a super long lasting way, but we made decisions that really inhibited that.
Well, ironically,
goal.
we're like, we're young. We don't really need the money right now.
Yeah, exactly. We were so excited about giving other people the opportunity that we didn't put ourselves in a sustainable financial place.
Sure.
And I don't think anyone's thinking this right now on YouTube or anywhere you listen to podcasts. But
of our millions of listeners, at least one person's got to be thinking.
There's a certain percentage, and at our base, it's a lot of people. So, don't hear what we're not saying, okay?
You know what? Actually, just everyone ever who talks to me in the future, don't hear what I'm not saying. Just let that be like a blanket statement.
Yeah, you can send them this clip to solidify that. We're not saying to, as the owner of your local coffee shop, just keep all the money for yourself and pay, and don't hire a manager because then you'd have to pay them more, which then would be taking away money from you. I guess we kind of are saying that a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
But we're just saying a career in today's economy, like you gotta make some money.
Well, yeah, if you're not in a healthy place in your own life, if you are running this business, working X amount of hours a week, and it's like already you have the struggles of running and owning a business and the stress and the amount of mental capacity that takes. So then to also be making like $48,000 a year, it's a bad setup. Just don't do that. We did it for
like caution, bitterness incoming.
Yeah, we did it for so long, and I'm just like, I hate to be like money equals happiness, but it's like money is a little bit convenient. And we did this business for a long time scraping by. And then we were finally like, okay, we need to make more money this year.
Well, what's funny is...
And then we did. And then now I think we're happier with our jobs. Just saying.
Now we all have Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
And I'm going on paternity leave, you know?
Yeah.
And still getting paid for it.
I am.
Oh, no.
Well, even that, it's like to create a manager position with maybe not a lot of funds is you're just kind of putting another person in a similarly like underpaid spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're just like,
Sure.
Absolutely.
it's what you were saying, I think is really key when you think about what am I trying to do with people that work at my shop? Am I trying to grow my operation in a way that I know I need to bring on key people that need to steward this thing with me, which in some cases is yes. For Valor right now, that case is yes. Like we have grown to a certain size where we need help and we need people that are like on salary or making more than just like an entry level job. So now we have to have that kind of like mindset. If you're a sole owner of a single coffee shop and that's kind of where you're at, you need to have the financial clarity, which is something we're still even trying to find, which is like, how many careers can this hold? And what do I want to view as like the journey? You know how we in wholesale, we think about the customer journey, but you can even think about the customer journey in the cafe, but what about like the employee journey? And that's what I've been talking about a lot more with the people that come work at the pit crew in Valor in Dunwoody or Alpharetta, is this concept of like legacy and like work that goes beyond just what you do with Valor. So that's the most epic thing about being a values-based business is like, hey, we're trying to figure out what you're trying to do with your life, and we want to help you get from A to B and like send you off, and you're going to the next chapter like full of vigor and energy and happiness. You're not leaving drained and bitter. So viewing your operation as like a playground for people to develop, like a gym, like to develop their strengths, build their character muscles, and then go out and do the next thing.
With a pump.
Yeah, get a pump on. It can really change the mindset of like what is the journey of your employee, basically. Because if you know, like, okay, I know I have like $80K to play with for admin. I'm gonna claim that, and I'm gonna pay all these people the best that I can, and know that like, hey, even from the top, like, hey, this job, like, there's not a lot beyond this. Like, you're gonna work in the cafe. So like, if someone's interviewing and they're like, I want to run this place one day, like, that's currently not on the table, you know?
Yeah.
So just what you're talking about, the myth, the problem, there's some key holes that I think we'll get into, but it's like lack of system, lack of financial clarity, and lack of vision for yourself and your team. You know, like, what do you want? And what do you want for the people that come and work for you? And that's changed for us over the years, kind of what you were asking. And there's a divide. Like, we need a certain amount of people to stay here for a long time, Lord willing, and like grow with us and help grow Valor and like look after another cafe. And I'm at one, you know?
Yep.
But not everybody can be, and not everybody even wants to be the manager. There's people like, yeah, I want to do this for 2 years while I finish up school, and then I want to get my next thing. Or what a lot of people are is, I want to start my own coffee shop. I want to learn from Valor. I'm like, great. You give us all you got. We're going to give you all we got. And then you're going to be able to go more prepared to start your own journey after you like poured your heart and soul into this. And we're extremely grateful for it, you know?
Yep.
So trying to believe in like a real, like an actual win-win thing, which is really cool. And I think that's a testament to a lot of people we've sent off in the last like few years. You know, it's like, hey, thank you. And they're like, thank you. It's sick.
Yeah. They're more set up.
Yeah.
So just a high level overview of the progression for us. We started off in one cafe. You were the manager, Ethan. And we started to recognize someone who was a leader in the pack, and they were a barista. They became the assistant manager, and they did admin work, right? Like computer stuff. I think she worked 2 days on that, 3 days on bar. or something.
Sure.
And we kind of just stayed there for a while. After some years and we always told her, like, you're gonna be we call them head coaches in our company instead of general managers. You're gonna be the head coach eventually, with just the right opportunity has to come. So then the opportunity for Dunwoody, our second location, came, and we decided to move her to the head coach position in Dunwoody. And at that point, you still remained the head coach of our first location. And then I think we kind of stayed there for a little bit and didn't have assistant managers. Is that correct?
No, we had our assistant managers are called operations coordinators. So if I say operations coordinator, that's why, or OC. No, at that point, Savvy was the OC in Dunwoody.
Yeah.
And then Lillaby was the OC in Alpharetta.
Okay, that's right. So at that point, you were the manager of coffee shop number 1, our first location. You had an operations coordinator under you. And then in the second location, we had a head coach that had been with us for a long time, who was the assistant manager at the first location. And then we also had an operations coordinator in that second location. And then I was like the owner that was supposed to help launch our second location.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a lot of manpower. And then we also had, we still do, we had point positions that are like floor managers for a day or whatever. So lots of like managers and lots of, we were in a position where we were paying all of those people more because they were in a role that necessitated that, we thought, at least. And then that made it much harder to give raises to baristas because so much of the money was going to these people in positions of power. I don't know why I want to say that. And then we started to realize that, and then we took you out of the head coach position of our first location and promoted our operations coordinator there.
And promoted someone to operations coordinator.
Right. So there was a time where the position tree was Ethan is the retail director. And then we had, a head coach in each location and an operations coordinator in each location. So lots of money going around. Right. And we just got to the point where it's like, man, I don't know if anybody listening has ever felt this as an owner, but you look at your staff and you're like, what do you do? Like, what do you do with your time? And it's a really...
Heck, you look at yourself.
Sure.
Say, what am I doing with my time?
But I think it's an interesting thought when you think of that about your employees, because you're like, I'm paying this employee to do a job. I'm pretty sure I know what they do, but does it really take 40 hours to do that role?
Well, people fill the time they're given,
Sure. And you don't want to micromanage them and constantly tell them like, hey, tell me everything you're doing so I can decide whether it's worth my money or not in your role.
Which I think we did.
And then I think we also did the opposite of that, which is like, oh, we trust you, like hands off,
Keep
like
it humming.
just kill it. Like you got this. And we thought that's what empowerment looked like. But really it was carelessness. It was like, it was kind of lazy too. It's like, yeah, like we got that manager, like she's got that, she's great, like boom. But it's like, actually that season was like one of the most dysfunctional seasons of our entire business because we weren't hands-on enough. And so we didn't have a good grasp on what was going on in our company, in our cafes.
And just to spell it out, I know we try to do this a lot, but if anyone's thinking like, oh, why are you crapping on these people? Not these people's fault at all. 100% our fault.
Yes.
Everything is our fault.
100% our fault.
We did a podcast about that.
We did a podcast about that. See previous episode. And context, just because it relates to this conversation you had, that year we also all had children. So I think we were all kind of excited to
finally hand some stuff off.
Hand some stuff off. Like, yeah, this feels right. You be this. And then I'll just like look after it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the, I think that's my biggest lesson learned of this year so far is that it's not the person's fault. It's my fault that I have delegated so much and given so much ownership, but I wasn't, and maybe that was even because of looking at my own stuff and being like, oh, like I can take care of my work. But what I don't even realize is that even I have managers, and it's you guys, and you guys have managers, and it's me,
Us guys.
And to look at someone and say, hey, go do this, just take care of it, and then not give any guidance from that point is just a recipe for disaster. Because you need a team, you need a network of people who can hold you accountable, help you set deadlines, help you focus on specific things. So kind of, across all three of us, we all do like, something we weren't even doing before is just like weekly meetings with people who are on our team. And it's kind of been changing things.
Yeah. Yes. And it doesn't feel micromanagey at all. It just feels like when you have employees, they need to be led. And
they typically want to be led. They're like desiring that connection too.
Right. And like as the leaders at the top of the organization, like it's our job to be able to perceive what are the most important things in our business to work on. And it's great to when you have an employee and you have that in your brain of like, this is the most important thing right now in our business, to make sure they're pointed in that direction and not pointed in a different direction because you didn't tell them what to do. And so that we were in that place, and then of kind of a top heavy model, which we've talked about in the podcast before, but some, turnover happened and seasons of life changed and people moved. And then eventually we got to the place where we had a head coach in each cafe, and that was it. One of them was, and still is, and always will be, just kidding, Savvy in Dunwoody, and then you, Ethan, in Alpharetta. And we were like, okay, maybe we didn't need all of those positions of leadership. Maybe we didn't need all that payroll, not because of any person, but just because we made that situation. And then from there, we started to see that was also the time where we started to implement pay bands, where we would hire people at whatever rate and then give them a plan to be able to earn more as a barista.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started to see people on the team take more ownership of their growth process as a barista, but also just wanting to be more involved in the business in general. And then I felt like, and this is kind of just a spoiler alert to the whole outline, but like, I feel like you really started to hand stuff off to people without calling them the manager.
Right.
And I think that really unlocked something special and valuable for our listeners to hear.
Yeah, it's I don't know, talk about it forever, but it's like a really interesting line of like not doing the tenure-based responsibility thing, but understanding what your needs are. Well, maybe we'll just shrink it down to a cafe. Knowing what your needs are for a cafe, knowing your strengths, seeing the holes, looking at the strengths of the people on the team and being like, do you want to take this? Do you want to take this? Do you want to take this? And we've probably just been doing that for like a year, but it's been insanely beneficial. It's because people get to further like step into gifting and like exercise those muscles, whether that's like administration or creativity or whatever, training. But But it's like, yeah, I'm not a crazy epic trainer. I'm not a crazy epic like organizer admin guy. So like handing off someone just doing like weekly ordering, someone being able to partner with some of our like veteran leaders in the cafe to like pay them extra to like look after newbies for onboarding and training during their first couple weeks. Like it's awesome. And it's like, hey, I'm going to pay you more to do this. And it's like, oh, great. Because what's funny is like the worst case scenario, if you don't have a manager, is that you either take it on all yourself and you get overloaded, or you start divvying it out to people and not compensating and people feel burdened. But I mean, when you can give someone more responsibility and space, I think it keeps them around longer because they're like bought into the whole thing. They're learning more about, especially in a coffee shop. Typically you have people that are like, I want to open a coffee shop. Please let me do something besides just working behind bar so I can learn more about running a coffee shop. And it'd be like, oh, wow, I could just give you this raise and then you can do these extra tasks. Bing, win-win.
Right.
And especially if like so many people are interested, it just raises that like, you know, cut to earlier in the episode when you're saying, man, I want to have a day off. I wish someone could just like look after the place. What if you could have like 5 or 6 of those people that are like really eyes up and really like looking out for the cafe, not just like, hey, I just work here. Like,
right.
I'm just here for my open. But it's like, you know, if some S is hidden the F fan, you know, you're going to have somebody that's going to stay after they're open and like sort it out. Or
right.
if someone's going to come in early to cover for the person that's not feeling well. And it's not always just falling back on you as the sole leader.
Right.
You know, but you have like a tenured group of people that are like looking out for each other and looking out for the space. It's heaven on earth, baby.
So let's get into a little bit of the nitty gritty on how to execute on this, specifically with the pay structure and how tipping works. So let's say you come to one of your baristas that, you know, they've proven themselves that they are a good barista, but even more than that, like their gifting is more like they could be a good admin type mind, like a good detail oriented, organized, has a computer, maybe.
Ooh.
You get in the picture. You come to that person and let's say they make $12 an hour on bar. And then they make $10 an hour from tips. So $22 an hour total. How would you handle the pay for that, given that when they work on these admin tasks, they're not on bar and therefore wouldn't be in the tip pool for that time, so as to not dilute the tip pool for people that are working? Just pay them more?
Well, Ross, that's a good question. I think it depends. Sometimes, yeah, and I'm going to leave that there. It depends.
It depends. Okay.
No, sometimes the task has resulted in a like just overarching pay boost. So say they were making $12 an hour. You give them some responsibility that's not like super built out, I guess, as far as like timing. It's like, but they're responsible for something. Sometimes it'll be like, now we're going to pay you $13 an hour across the board. So you're going to get more while you're getting tips, and you're just not going to get tips while you're doing some admin work. But it kind of equals out to good value, you know, especially if it's not like a ton of admin work. Now, what I've done before, if something is a little more bulky and like specifically off bar, is I will come up with a number that's just like including tip, like value. So like, okay, if you're going to do trainings here at the lab, you know, it's separate from the cafe, and maybe you're training people from multiple locations, I'm going to pay you a higher rate at that.
Yeah.
So You can just do either one.
But if you're paying someone to do inventory, let's say, the whole point of what we're saying is like that doesn't make them the manager. And how long does it take to do inventory? How many hours per week does it take to do inventory? Is it 3 hours? 4 hours?
Well, that's the funny thing. And then just really structuring that type of thing where it's just like you can take inventory every single day. And some people might do that if that's one of their main tasks and that's the thing on the front of their mind. You don't need to take inventory every day. That's a gigantic waste of time, you know?
Yeah. And that's where we get into making sure that the system is, like you're saying, efficient and effective. Because if it's not, and you delegate a task like inventory to someone, then this will probably come back to bite you in the butt. Like the whole thing falls apart if the system isn't built out well.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say is like, if this is sounding overwhelming of like, how do I give someone like what I do? I just do so much. I do a little bit of everything. I'm like, well, I can relate to having just like I'm a catch-all type. But I think like a really valuable use of time would be like time auditing yourself and like task auditing yourself. Like, what am I actually doing? And am I just doing something that someone else like is doing 30 minutes after me, you know, just because I'm like catching it and then someone's like also doing it. And then you just have multiple people doing multiple people doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Because kind of what you were saying about the bookkeeping, the more you can have a well set up system, be like, hey, you know, every week I count all the cash deposits, I get it ready, and then I look over everybody's clock ins for the week and tweak any errors. And then I take the tips from Square and the cash tips from the deposit sheet and I put it in our like tip pooling system. It takes me about, 45 minutes. Been doing it for 6 years. I know it takes like 45 minutes. That can be like a clean expectation and a system that you hand off.
The funny thing about that and talking about reflecting on your own effectiveness and efficiency at something, when I was setting up our bookkeeper to do the job, like training on how I do the systems, I was like, man, I need to get these spreadsheets dialed before I hand them over. And then I like went super, super hard on the spreadsheets that I use for the process to the point where they just like worked extremely well, in my opinion, at the time, and were intuitive and formulaic and stuff. And then by the time I was done with it, I was about to hand it off. I was like, why the heck wasn't I using this the entire time I was doing it? And then it would have made my job like way easier. So now a lot of times I try to reflect on just, it's almost a thought experiment. Like if I was going to hand this to someone else, would I want them to be doing this the way that I'm doing it right now?
That's good.
And then I'm like, maybe this could be way simpler if I just like put some time into it.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then you might not even have to hand it off at that point because it could be so simple.
Right. But if you're always, if you're just perpetually behind the 8 ball owner that's running around like a chicken with their head cut off, always trying to catch up, you don't have time to work on the business. You only have time to work in the business. So improving those systems frees up time. And that is really important in a low profit model, such as coffee, because you can't afford to just have like I'm a catch all, like I just do whatever comes, someone's got to do it. It's like, well, a lot of that can be systematized. And last thought on pay structure, if taking inventory in your coffee shop takes 2.5 hours per week, and even if you do pay that person their normal bar plus tip rate, so, back to the example of $12 an hour base, $10 an hour in tips, if you pay them $22 an hour, that's 22 times 2.5.
And that's a number.
It's that many dollars.
It's $55.
55 burgers, 55 fries, 55 tacos, 55 pies, 55 cokes, 100 tater tots, 100 pizzas, 110.
I think.
Is it really?
I think it's $55.
$55 a week.
100 meatballs, 100 coffees, 55 wings, 55 shakes, 55 pancakes, 55 pasta, 55 peppers, and 155 taters.
It's nothing.
And what's that per day?
Yeah, was it? I mean, that's
How many lavender vanilla lattes?
That's
is that?
less than $8 a day.
It's just.
That's less than like a oat dirty chai a day.
I hope that
Top
just
line.
drives
Top
home the point that you could pay that much per week to have one of your key tasks, recurring tasks, off your plate. Give someone else an opportunity, and don't pay someone a salary to be the GM.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Something. This was reminding me of our pod with Keys to the Shop, Mr. DeFilio, where he was talking. And I might be jumping ahead. Might be jumping to the next segment, but
Good. Let's keep it moving, baby.
Yeah. You need some clarity up top. You need some clarity with your leadership. You know, especially back in the day when we had 5, 6 alphas in the pool of cafe leadership. I can't tell you how many times something fell through because someone told the wrong person or someone didn't know who to tell, so they just didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
You know, about something that needed to happen. It's like, well, how are we out of stevia again? Stevia is so crucial to this business. Well, I told this person. That person doesn't do the ordering. Oh, well, I didn't know. It's like, oh. But, you know, when it's like, okay, Savvy runs Dunwoody, tell Savvy. It's like, boom. It's helpful, man. Clear as kind, right?
Yeah. And then one more note on systems. We've been doing this a lot lately because we're currently hiring someone that's going to take on some of our roles or our tasks. And it's what you said earlier, Riley, of like, is how I'm doing this thing right now the way that I would want my employee to do this thing? And I think a lot of times the answer would be no. And, you know, there's this tool called Loom, and we've talked about it before on the podcast, but we love it. It's just, it records your screen, and there's a little avatar in the corner of your face, and you can explain how you do something. If you are calculating the tips, or if you are scheduling the team, or if you're doing whatever admin task, you can turn on your Loom, screen record that ish, and then you have a digital asset to last a lifetime that you can just send to one of your employees that's doing your admin stuff.
Boom.
That's huge.
It's huge.
It's huge. And then they have that to reference back to for the future if they forget. Like, hey, reference the Loom.
And Loom's got folders on it.
It does have folders
On it.
And so, in conclusion, really the whole point of what we're saying is, as the owner of your coffee shop, your cafe, you need to be doing the highest leverage work, the highest return on investment work. And
Sometimes for an owner of that cafe, that might be like working behind the bar.
exactly,
Being the thermostat.
Wow.
exactly. Because maybe that's why you got into this thing in the first place, is because you are passionate about building a beautiful space for your community to improve their lives, to connect together, to have a really great product. Maybe that's why you started it. That's probably why you started it. And so how can you configure your org chart to sustain that and continue that so you can be doing what you're best at instead of sticking your nose in a computer?
You wouldn't put the 1 at the 5 position on a basketball court.
No.
You know, you wouldn't put your best player as the coach.
Right.
You know?
Would you put the 5 at the 1? Sometimes.
Sometimes. If the 5 can hit the 3, yes.
Unless you're Jokic and they fired their head coach and now he just runs the huddles.
Right. Really?
Yes.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, there's clips of him like he comes.
Just the coach.
He's making substitutions from the court.
He's like,
Yes. I've seen clips of that. It's really funny.
Dude, that's epic.
I
mean, that's just LeBron.
You don't-
a little more quiet.
you don't
GM.
You don't
Yeah.
put Tom Brady on the line, you know?
Yes. Everyone in their giftings. So a few challenges that we've got here. One, and you mentioned it earlier. As the owner, as the person who's running the cafe, this all starts by auditing your time. So open a document and get your list Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or however many days you work. And then just
Monday, Tuesday.
your 2 days that you work. And just write down how long it takes you to do whatever you're doing.
And if you have recurring tasks that you're just remembering off the top of your head, just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Set a reminder.
Use a to-do list.
Use a to-do list. So audit your time. Start with that. As you begin to audit your time, start documenting and record the systems that you're doing. It could be an iPhone video. Don't put pressure on yourself to make it this big production. Take your iPhone out, record yourself like, hey, this is me. I'm the owner of this coffee shop. I'm placing the milk order. Do that.
If you're paying someone to do the thing, then tell them to convert it to a document, you know?
Right.
If you want to do that, be like, hey, can you type this system up as you do it?
Yes. Make systems. And, honestly, we would really love to hear your journey with this. And what better place to share that and connect with us and other people in your same exact situation, whether you're starting a coffee shop, whether you're running a coffee shop, than the VCC, the Valor Coffee community.
If you've listened to us ramble for the past hour and you aren't on the VCC, then
you're a freak.
You're in a weird
What's wrong
Venn
with
diagram right now. Hey, can I say something about what you said? It just is a relatable, something.
You're so relatable.
Community.valor.coffee. Sorry.
Very good. I know what it's like to work in retail, and I know what it's like to try to have a structured position, and also know that a cafe is just a black hole of things you could be doing, And I also know that, like other jobs, though, in cafes, there's seasons. If you're hiring more people, that can take all of your time. If you're trying to get out new menus, that can immediately take all of your time. But when you're doing your audits, I think it's fine to humbly recognize, I don't do as much as I think, because I am putting myself in this catch-all position of did I really do dishes for an hour today? Yeah, maybe you did. Did you sub out somebody on bar because they have a tummy ache? Yeah, you probably did. A lot of your time can go a lot of places. Did I talk to guests for 45 minutes? Maybe. But do you value that? Is that good? Do you like having that? I think having bandwidth is important for a leader and someone that's looking after a space. So I would just say, that's okay. It's okay if you just do some orders on Monday and you check in with the team. That's cool.
Such a good point. Bandwidth. That's all we got for today, gentlemen.
Ross, just want to say thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, host Ross.
And thank you.
Kind of the new host.
I was feeling that,
Yeah, I was feeling that too.
Kind of liking it.
He's he's tall.
Yeah.
And tall people kind of assume authority. So
command authority.
Well, they demand authority. It's really annoying, actually.
Actually, you suck, bro.
Yeah, I'm a new host. Except I probably won't be here for a month. So
any closing
You're not
thoughts?
gonna come in for the podcast?
Sorry, no. Yeah, I'll be here for the podcast.
Okay, great.
Where can people find you guys? Any shout outs you want to give?
I'm at HQ.
Check out my Finsta, Ethan River 777.
For those wondering, Ethan doesn't run his Instagram.
I don't have access.
For those still listening to this podcast, the very small amount, Ethan doesn't run his Instagram.
It's an anonymous figure who runs his Instagram.
Yeah.
No one knows.
It's kind of like a ghost network.
A shadow figure.
Yeah.
It's a shadow network of people that run it.
He's been active. I don't know if you know that.
No,
We just hired this random guy on Fiverr, and he does it.
And what's Fiverr?
Let me just quickly, and we'll go off air, but I want to see your reaction to the recent posts live.
No, I like if we have a little bit of downtime post.
All right.
Oh, wow. That's a good picture.
Grayson, if you want to go to Ethan River 777, I'm just looking at the 3 newest ones, starting with the oldest of the 3. So, caption, oops.
Zoom in on reaction. Okay. Soft
Yeah.
smile.
Okay. This is the next picture.
Oh, Origin, dude.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Hilux. Shout out to Andres.
Yeah, it's Ethan and Andres, whose coffee we have had in the past.
Andres Cardona.
Luna Azul.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have his coffee again. And then just this video of you, like a short clip.
Dude, 567 views. I'm famous.
That's a lot, actually.
Wow.
The funny thing about whoever's running this Instagram,
They're a genius.
is that the pictures are always of Ethan on his own Instagram. or
People don't really do that, right?
it's kind of like Ethan's taken on the persona of, I don't know, it's like he doesn't know how to use his phone or technology.
And that's very accurate.
So there's a lot of like screenshots that aren't cropped out. Like this one of Tim Tebow.
Oh.
Or
Don't make me make me hit the T-bow on air.
this is one of my favorites of you like standing with a tray in Dunwoody.
53 likes.
Yeah, dude, that's big numbers. Sam Thomas commented, "Hey," 17 weeks ago. And then Ethan River 777 commented 1 week ago, "Lose my number."
This guy from Fiverr is so funny.
And then Sam said, "Should have asked 16 weeks ago, buddy."
We're not afraid to still have some fun around here.
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
Hey,
And
speaking of the downtime episode of the podcast, I have gotten more comments about my mustache than ever before. Is something different? Because I do this every time.
Something's different.
yeah, something's different for sure. I think it's just more full this time, honestly.
And
the ends are longer than you usually roll.
That's the problem. That's not the problem. It's just,
Well, there's your problem. You
yeah.
actually go Fu Manchu,
You're getting close.
You're leaning Fu Manchu more than normal.
and I'm not afraid.
Yeah,
So, but usually you take this up taller,
Okay.
like towards your lip, the corner of your mouth.
it's true.
This was a morning shave. I always shave and shower at night, but I did it in the
TMI,
morning.
dude.
Yeah, I know.
Mental pictures. Ugh.
Can I give
I'm
you?
fully clothed.
I want to start cutting Jude's hair. Can I give you a fade to see if I can do it?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So you're gonna grow it out?
Freaking guys' night.
Yeah. Well, no,
No. We'll do a buzz fade.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
It'd be
that.
kind of sick.
Like
Yeah.
what I used to have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could grow out my hair if I want to. Like, there's a ton of it. So,
All right. We'll see you guys
We
next
know.
week.
All right, bye. Oh, we're so back, dude. We're so back.